Hey, this is Ryan of Happy Healthy Vegan. So, many of our longtime followers know I'm a bit of a geek, a nerd, a techie, whatever you want to call it. And I've been seeing all this hype lately, as you guys probably have, about AI and ChatGPT. And I've been seeing interesting talk about AI being a necessary tool that humanity needs to save itself from climate change. So wow, I guess AI is necessary to help combat climate change. Humans can't do it alone. Alright, so I'm game. Let's assume this to be true. The only AI I have any access to, like any normal person, is ChatGPT. So I went to ChatGPT to ask it how to solve climate change. So here's what it spit out at me, this long 10-point list of strategies that can help in mitigating and adapting to climate change. Not exactly what I asked. I don't want to adapt to climate change. I want to try to solve it because that's really what we're looking for here. So top of the list here, transition to renewable energy. Going down the list here, energy efficiency, sustainable transportation, forest conservation, sustainable agriculture. Let's see if it says anything in here about the horrific environmental cost of animal agriculture and how switching to a plant-based diet is helpful. Let's see, promote sustainable farming practices such as organic farming. That's pretty vague. Agroforestry, precision agriculture, reduce deforestation, like by not growing so much feed for cattle, no, for agricultural purposes. Maybe that's what they're talking about. And minimize the use of synthetic fertilizers and pesticides. Still not seeing anything about plant-based diets being helpful. Waste management, climate policy and international cooperation, great. Education, awesome. Research and development, sure. Individual actions like eating plants. Let's see, adopt sustainable lifestyle choices such as reducing meat consumption. Okay, make some mention there. Conserving water, minimizing waste, eco-friendly products. So, as an ethical vegan who is very aware of the many environmental benefits of switching to a plant-based diet, I was shocked that in its 10-point list, not one of those points was like, switch to a plant-based diet. I mean, if its true goal here is to try to combat climate change, that should be one of the top numbered named things, but it's not. So I asked it, I said, given that animal agriculture is responsible for more greenhouse gas emissions than all of transportation combined, why aren't you recommending that people switch to a plant-based diet, right? And surprisingly said, you're absolutely correct that animal agriculture contributes significantly to greenhouse gas emissions, particularly through methane production and deforestation for livestock farming. Adopting plant-based diets is indeed one effective way to mitigate climate change. While it was not explicitly mentioned in the previous long response, promoting sustainable diets that reduce reliance on animal products is an important strategy for addressing climate change. So here's some specific actions we as individuals can do right now. We don't need to wait for governments. 1, reduce meat consumption. Decreasing the consumption of animal products, particularly red meat and dairy, can significantly reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Plant-based alternatives such as legumes, grains, fruits, and vegetables can provide ample nutrition. Choose sustainable protein sources such as, say, legumes, like beans and lentils, tofu, tempeh, plant-based protein powders if you must. These options have a lower environmental impact compared to animal-based proteins. And it goes on, support local and organic agriculture, reduces the transportation emissions, encourages sustainable farming practice, and minimize food waste. So it's refreshing to know that ChatGPT is up on the scientific literature. It knows how to distinguish that plant-based diets have a positive environmental impact, while animal products have a negative environmental impact. So I asked him, if switching to a plant-based diet has such a large, meaningful impact on greenhouse gas emissions, why didn't you mention it in the first place in your long list? And his humble response surprised me. He said, I apologize for any confusion caused by the initial response. Adopting plant-based diets is indeed a crucial strategy for addressing climate change, and I should have highlighted it from the beginning. He's making apologies. I can't believe it. I appreciate your emphasis on this importance of this action. Plant-based diets have a significant potential to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and mitigate climate change. By shifting away from animal products, we can reduce the environmental impact associated with animal agriculture, including land use, water consumption, and methane emissions. It is an effective way for individuals to contribute to climate change mitigation. Again, I apologize for not explicitly mentioning the adoption of plant-based diets in the initial response. Thank you for pointing out its significance, and I encourage individuals to consider this important action in their efforts to combat climate change. I gotta say, interacting with ChatGPT is a shocking experience compared to the knuckleheads that come to my Friday live streams. None of the knuckleheads ever apologize for being inaccurate or for failing to have done something better or anything like that. So give kudos to the ChatGPT team for doing that, adding that attribute to its personality, and I use that term loosely. But to get to the major point here is that we don't need to wait for AI to solve climate change as all these tech companies are trying to do. It's already figured out. We need to let the world know, put it on the front page of all these results of queries asking about how to solve climate change. Change to a plant-based diet. It's got to be number one. It shouldn't be tucked in at number 10, just kind of suggests. It needs to be a major bullet point. It makes a huge contribution to fighting climate change and something we can all do right now. It's such a win-win. The animals win too, so it's a triple win. Animals aren't needlessly exploited and slaughtered, so I don't know why this isn't being emphasized and put in people's faces. So yeah, we don't need to wait any longer. We don't need for AI to get more intelligent or anything like that. The answer's already here. Switch to a plant-based diet. You're going to make a huge impact. Yeah, follow the other strategies that it mentioned as well, but you can just have a huge impact right now, especially if more of us do it collectively. Well, to combat some of these people that say, well, no, you're just biased and, it's not going to solve climate change. Eating meat is actually the answer to solving climate change. So let's take these carnivore propaganda ideas to task here and ask ChatGPT. So given everything that ChatGPT has just told us about these huge environmental benefits of going to a plant-based diet and reducing meat consumption, what does ChatGPT say to people who ask it about is it better for climate change if we produce and eat more meat versus switching to a plant-based diet? Let's find out. So it begins diplomatically, saying there are varying perspectives on the relationship between meat production and its impact on climate change. However, now here's where we get to the real deal, the overwhelming scientific consensus, and that's what we're concerned about, the scientific consensus, rather than the opinion of some shirtless carnivore influencers making TikTok videos in front of Chick-fil-A or whatever that place is called. Anyway, the overwhelming scientific consensus is that reducing meat consumption and transitioning to plant-based diets can have significant environmental benefits, including mitigating climate change. And here are some key points to consider. Greenhouse gas emissions, as I pointed out to ChatGPT earlier, that animal agriculture is a major contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. And in addition to that, livestock farming produces methane, a potent greenhouse gas. Animal feed, deforestation, all that is bad for greenhouse gas emissions. And land and resource use. Animal agriculture requires vast amounts of land, water, and feed resources. Livestock farming necessitates large areas for grazing and growing animal feed crops. Remember, guys, animals eat more plants on this planet than humans do. Shifting to a plant-based diet will have benefits in this regard. Water footprint. Meat production has higher water footprint compared to plant-based alternatives. Efficiency and feed conversion. And it even mentions some health considerations. And it ends with this thought here. While there are ongoing debates and discussions, carnivore guys, regarding the optimal approaches to combat climate change, the scientific evidence strongly supports, let me read that again, the scientific evidence strongly supports the positive environmental impact of reducing meat consumption and adopting plant-based diets. It's crucial to consider the larger body of research, expert opinions, and the consensus among climate scientists when evaluating the impact of dietary choices on climate change. So, to summarize, in case you disagree with what ChatGPT is saying here, and you have every right to disagree, but understand that if you disagree, that your point of view is not reflective of the general scientific consensus. Maybe it's a belief you just have because it feels good, or you heard some guy on social media say it, and it makes you feel good about how you're living your life. But their points of view are outlier beliefs with little to no support. And if you really want to look at the truth of something, don't follow weird influencers. Don't even follow me. I'm not a weird influencer, but don't listen to influencers. Look at what the general scientific consensus is, and it's very clear that switching to a plant-based diet makes a huge impact as far as combating climate change. So the bottom line is we don't need to wait for AI to get more intelligent. We don't need all these tech companies using AI to help combat climate change. The answer's already out there. It's been out there for a long time. Stop eating animal products, switch to a plant-based diet. You don't even have to be vegan. You don't even have to care about the animals. So switch to a plant-based diet and the animals will thank you silently by you're not eating them. So anyway, before I go, we have a new promo code and new merch to share with you. I just got this in the mail the other day. Hopefully you'll want one too, even though summer's coming, but these are still handy. It's cool at night here in California. I'm going to be wearing this, I'm sure, a lot over the summertime. Anyway, it's a new code, YT Shopping 25, where you can save 25% off this or any of our teas, like, vegan cult member, doesn't like being vegan, all that stuff on our store. I'll put a link down below. I'll have a card pop it up right here too. It's 25% off this or anything you want. We even have ebooks, so go there now. So anyway, guys, leave your questions and comments down below. Let me know what you think about ChatGPT or AI being required for solving the riddle of climate change. Is it really that, do we need that high tech to just stop eating animals, really? Anyway, leave your questions and comments down below. Hit like, share this video if you want to help save the world. And until next time, guys, just remember, doesn't suck being vegan.